these boys aren't gonna like what you've done in this place. We really need to go.
I'll find my own way.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the prequels that are all kinds of awful. These are films that can't hope to match the originals and were unnecessary to begin with.
It would be a poor choice to force my hand into action.
Number 10, Fantastic Beasts franchise. Expanding on the wizardly world of Harry Potter, far beyond Hogwarts, sounded like an ideal filled with possibilities. Unfortunately, the Fantastic Beasts series majorly lost its direction.
Do you think you can hold me?
We'll do our best, Mr. Grindelwald.
Starting off on a lighter touch with a story about Newt Scamander and his magical pets, it veers into a dark, soulless rendition of the Wizarding War. By the trilogy's end, Newt is more of a bystander than the protagonist. Instead, we watch a family drama about the Dumbledores that isn't fantastic or has anything to do with beasts.
Aurelius, Dumbledore. We will go down in history together as we remake this world.
The weird combination of magical creatures and a major global conflict just doesn't resonate. It didn't help that behind-the-scenes controversies dampened things, as the series petered out with a less than favorable conclusion. Unless they actually make 2 more of these.
Oh, and I'd do it again, by the way. Should you ask?
Number 9, Oz the Great and Powerful. 1939's The Wizard of Oz leaves enough interest in the titular character for viewers to contemplate his backstory.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. The great Oz has spoken!
Who are you?
After watching Oz the Great and Powerful, you prefer not knowing much about him. Along with the main character's smug, insufferable attitude, the prequel simply delivers rehashed versions of material seen in the original film. We're not given enough justification to see how these characters ended up as they are when Dorothy comes to Oz.
She'll get over me. They always do. She's a pretty young witch. There'll be plenty of wizards knocking at her door.
Oh, every lie you tell gets us one step closer to the Emerald City dungeon.
The movie inadvertently gets us to side with the designated villains instead, as the protagonist never wins the audience's sympathy. It turns out that the mystery behind the Wizard of Oz was always the most appealing thing about him. A peek behind the curtain takes all the mystique away.
And I want to thank you for opening my eyes.
What do you see?
That I have everything I ever wanted.
Number 8, The Thing. 1982's The Thing starts off with the eponymous antagonist arriving from a Norwegian research center. The 2011 prequel take us back to these events.
It looks like the alien cells are somehow attacking Henrik's cells, and then what is that? It's like they're transforming into
Imitating his cells.
A malicious force is discovered that gradually starts to eliminate the people who discovered it. However, apart from the ending, this film doesn't have much to tie the story together. The Thing does confirm that the entity is of alien origin, but that's not something it dwells on too long. For the most part, it follows the same template as the original.
We have to trust in this plan. It's our only chance of making it through this.
Watching people get killed by the mysterious being is a lot more chilling in the 1982 movie because we don't know what it is. The prequel doesn't carry the same fear factor, settling for recycled scares that just don't land.
Stop. Kate? Kate! Kate!
Number 7, The Scorpion King. Fans were intrigued by Matthias the Akkadian after watching a snippet of his origins in The Mummy Returns.
The Scorpion King made a pact with the dark god Anubis, that if Anubis would spare his life and let him conquer his enemies, he would give him his soul.
Those looking for a gritty, ruthless expansion of his story were disappointed when the prequel basically ran in the opposite direction. The Scorpion King is an overall wacky film, filled with goofy one-liners among a plethora of comedic sequences. It plays into the fast-talking persona that The Rock was known for at the time.
Horse thief. Ah, I know this dog. They'll behead him for sure this time.
He'll be all the prettier without it.
However, the character of Matthias doesn't resemble how he is in The Mummy Returns, causing a huge disconnect between the entry and the prequel. While it's serviceable for a breezy, silly fun, it doesn't care enough to answer the main question of how Matthias becomes the dreaded Scorpion King.
Remember, Nubian eyes will be watching you, Scorpion King.
Number 6, Underworld, Rise of the Lycans.
I should have crossed you under my heel the day you were born.
Yes, you should have.
The original entry tells us most of what we need to know about the vampire-Lycan conflict, making Rise of the Lycans pretty unnecessary. Seeing how the conflict between Vampire Victor and Lycan Lucian started would have been interesting if the first film hadn't centered around it.
This is his war. Victor's. And he spent the last 600 years exterminating my species.
Even on its own, the movie's drab, lifeless visuals are difficult to follow. The camera filter and cinematography can be a real hurdle for the viewing experience, worsened by the sullen tone of the story. Most of the brutality fails to contribute to the plot and seems tacked on for the sake of the R rating. And without the series protagonist Celine in a major role, a solid hook to the movie is missing throughout its runtime.
Who reminded him so much of his precious Sonia, the daughter he condemned to death.
Lies. Number 5, 300, Rise of an Empire. Elements like slow motion, distinct visual filters, and action set pieces made Zack Snyder's 300 a commercial success.
Madness.
This is Sparta!
It's as if the developers behind Rise of an Empire decided to do the exact same thing and hoped no one would notice. The movie is both a prequel and sequel, depicting antagonist Xerxes' rise in power and the aftermath of his battle with Leonidas.
10 years ago, this war began, as all wars begin, with a grievance.
The story is difficult to get into, since people just seem to kill each other after every couple of scenes. The brutality is even more jarring thanks to frequent slow-mo sequences that seem to go on forever. By the end, viewers will be more inclined to count the number of on-screen deaths than to keep up with the plot that lacks depth anyways.
You are being surrounded. All of Greece has united against you. Delphi, Thebes, Olympia, Arcadia, and Sparta.
Number 4, Pan.
I am my mother's son, and if Blackbeard is going to destroy everything my parents died for, I'll stand against him to the last.
The bizarre title of this prequel is telling enough that this is a bland film. Where the original Peter Pan uses things like pixie dust, mermaids, and evil pirates to make Neverland feel exciting, Pan throws much out with no fun or charm to back it up. You can also be forgiven for not caring about Peter himself, as the protagonist feels like an afterthought in his own story.
If we're gonna beat him, we're gonna do it together. Do you hear me?
Although the actors do their best, the abundance of special effects and action scenes sucks the life out of their characters. The movie plays too close to contemporary young adult blockbusters like The Hunger Games and Divergent, trading away Peter Pan's sense of wonder for a whole lot of CGI.
Hey, who's in charge here?
Well, I'm the captain.
And I'm the chosen one.
We'll have plenty of time to argue about that later, Flyboy.
Suit yourself, Captain Hook.
Number 3, X-Men Origins Wolverine. It's a shame that a movie with so much potential ultimately fails. X-Men Origins Wolverine has a talented cast, only for the characters to drop out one by one before it becomes a cliche revenge story.
I'm coming for blood. No law, no code of conduct. You point me in the right direction, you get the hell out of my way.
Everything from the Doom romances, callbacks, and many betrayals is predictable from the get-go. Strangely enough, the intro sequence does a much better job of being a prequel than the rest of the film, as Wolverine becomes interchangeable with every other action hero the longer the runtime goes.
You're not an animal.
Oh, yes, you are.
And with horrible CGI and a complete butchering of Deadpool's character, the movie is a mess all around. With Days of Future Past later erasing the film's events, it looks like even the X-Men series' realized origins is better left forgotten.
Where the hell am I? Listen to me. I'm a friend. I'm a friend. Yeah. What's my name?
Number 2, Exorcist: The Beginning. As great as The Exorcist is, not many people were clamoring to see an origin story. Exorcist: The Beginning looks into Father Merrin's past encountering the demon Pazuzu in Africa.
This is a leather impression of the artifact we're looking for, a representation of a mythical demon.
However, the links between the original and prequel are loosely defined. Much of the central arc centers around Merrin's crisis of faith, which doesn't balance well with the film's direction. The Beginning lacks the subtlety that the 1973 entry offers, delivering a very obvious and gory horror experience.
Searching for the origin of a powerful evil. But when they got here, that evil consumed them, turning the soldiers against each other in a bloodbath.
After all, there's only so many times a jump scare works before it starts to get mundane. Its critical failure was best summed up by the Exorcist author William Peter Blatty. He called watching the prequel a humiliating professional experience. Honestly, we can't disagree.
I couldn't find what you were looking for.
But you found something, didn't you?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Dumb and Dumberer: When Harry Met Lloyd. Dumb and Dumber is praised for its slapstick quality, mainly due to the winning combination of Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels.
Mock, yeah, ing, yeah, bird, yeah, 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 mockingbird, don't everybody have you heard?
Without them, Harry and Lloyd's antics can be mind-numbing, and this prequel proves why. Set during their high school years, the main characters befriend similarly wacky characters while dealing with an evil principal. Of course, the story was never supposed to be important, as the film mainly banks on juvenile humor.
I know where you're in! Harry, seriously, stop for a second. Come here, Harry, seriously for a second. You're in! Oh, no! You're in! Harry, Buns!
Lacking any creativity or wit, the jokes are flat and ridiculous no matter which scene you are watching. Its most impressive achievement is somehow stretching out the cringe comedy for 85 whole minutes.
Oh, our hard work pays off.
Yeah?
He's going to jail for a long time.
Principal of jail? Wow, that's a promotion. Yeah, those inmates are lucky. Yeah.
While 2014's Dumb and Dumber 2 was also poorly received, that sequel seems Oscar-worthy next to how bad the prequel is. Which prequel do you think should have never seen the light of day? Let us know in the comments down below.
I swear I'm gonna pay for it.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.